So, Dr. Courtney, we are dealing with all this COVID-19 coronavirus stuff, and people are worried about obviously humans, but we work very much with animals, and so that's at the top of our priority list. What are you seeing right now about the fears, and is there anything that people should be concerned about when it comes to either giving their pets COVID-19 or their pets giving them COVID-19?
Vets have been on the forefront of public health and understanding disease and surveillance, and particularly for the human population since the profession was created. So this coronavirus pandemic really does show the intersectionality between humans and that human-animal bond. But then the primary concern for a lot of veterinarians and pet parents is, can my pet get it? And the answer as of right now is that we don't know. So I think it's okay to say, as of now, there is no reason to believe that pets can transmit COVID between each other. There's no reason to believe that pets can transmit COVID to humans. And as far as humans transmitting COVID to pets, right now there's some preliminary evidence occurring that it's extremely uncommon and extremely rare, but possible.
But from what I do understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, we do not or have not seen, as far as we know, this moment in time, a dog or a cat giving COVID-19 to a human being. Is that correct?
Short answer, no, we haven't. And I think it's so important to emphasize because what that, advancing that sort of misinformation, if it's out there, I hope it's not out there, but advancing that type of misinformation could cause people to potentially abandon their pets or have their pets sort of inappropriately quarantined or have something horrible or even more tragic happen to pets on a mass scale. So I certainly want to dispel any misinformation that's out there talking about in regards to pets transmitting COVID to humans. We just haven't seen it.
So interesting, because before this, I'd never heard of coronavirus. Turns out it's been around for a long time, just in different forms and species. So that's interesting to me.
Yeah, species specificity is how coronavirus moves. That's just how it does. So I was very, I don't think it's surprising that after the hundreds of thousands of cases of COVID that we've only seen 2 dogs test positive and 1 cat, which tells you that it's possible, but extremely uncommon.
As a foster mom, during this time specifically, because I'm home, I've brought 2 dogs into my home as foster dogs, both of which, as soon as I've gotten them here, I've given a good bath. So in terms of it being something that a dog or a cat can carry on their fur or on their collar or leash, what is your thought process on that? And what would you say are some good safety tips for that?
So we don't actually know how long it lives on dog hair, but I will say that would be really uncommon to transmit COVID through the hair. So that's number 1, because hair is very porous. But 2, what about leashes, collars, harnesses? Those are what we call, and I know you're familiar with the term, but fomites. And fomites are inanimate objects that have the potential to carry infection. And so if your leash, collar, or plastic dog toy was around a COVID-infected patient, or maybe somebody who is asymptomatic, who they didn't even know they had it, but it's actually on their pet's sort of personal belongings, personal effects, then that's really important to make sure you disinfect. Now, here's some good news about coronavirus is that it's not very hardy. As an enveloped virus, they can be disinfected and sort of inactivated and destroyed very easily. And so diluted bleach has always been kind of the gold standard. However, it can ruin a lot of things. And that's why my preference is more accelerated hydrogen peroxide. Apply your disinfectant of choice, whether it's dilute bleach, Lysol, accelerated hydrogen peroxide, and leave it on there an appropriate contact time. The FDA has released a list of disinfectants that can actually have activity against COVID. So I think that's important to take a look at that particular list.
And last thing I do want to say, because we have talked very, very scientifically and all this stuff, but there's got to be something to be said for the fact that during this time of uncertainty and boredom and loneliness, because we're all sitting in isolation, right, dogs and cats bring us so much love as well. I mean, I keep telling people, in my personal opinion, they're bringing you a lot more good than harm at a time like this.
Yeah, listen, I think that cannot be overemphasized. Pets, particularly in this times of crisis and isolation and anxiety, are such they bolster your constitution. They just make you feel so good. And, I know you don't want me to nerd out and just focus on the science, but I mean, there's a phenomenon. It's known as social recognition, where we look at those individuals like babies, pets, and those who need us, and it fortifies us. It gives us strength, and it makes us feel less lonely. Also, oxytocin, which is that love cuddling hormone. When you snuggle your dog, there's a huge release of the oxytocin, and it just makes you feel so good. So when we hear the term emotional support animal and emotional support pet, I think in times like this, almost every pet becomes an emotional support animal because they're really supporting us through that isolation.